look, we're making the new counterculture whether they want it or not. So who's going to run the non-woke answer to Newsarama or the non-autistic IGN?
New co-host that will be taking Richard's spot on the show is Mr. Emily Music. My next co-host, the man who will absolutely make you change. And by making you change, what I mean by that is he is going to help you change from having that story in your head to putting it on paper and putting it into people's hands. And this is the man, the myth, the legend, Daniel P. Riley of whimsyland.org.
Alcohol. A good Christian boy.
Number 1 Iron Age Booty Daddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Royce. Welcome back to A Drink with Crazy. I am buying a goat. I love goat. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Iron Age Nights. What's going on, everybody?
Hey!
Ow! Oh my God! A long time coming. This show is, or it has been, or was, or however the tense that I need to use it there. You guys are all writers. You know what I mean. Hey, everybody. This is going to be an awesome show.
Was, is, and never will be.
Right. Well, just remember, they call it the present because it's a gift. Anyway, that's some Kung Fu Panda wisdom there. Guys, what's going on, everybody? Oh man, this is going to be a great interview. I am very, very excited about this. It's probably going to fall apart. It's going to be a train wreck. He's never going to want to come back again, but we got him here the first time. That's the important one, everybody. That's the important one. We got him here for the first one. Guys, and there are so many members of the community that are absolutely familiar with the work of Raven. Or Nicholas Raven. I don't know. I'm going to call him Raven most of the night. Raven's Loft. But, and not only that, we've also been tracking his work through like Comic Shop Wednesday and just following him on Twitter for like a year and a half now. This is going to be a great freaking interview. But before we get to all of that, before I go too deep into my antics, and then my co-hosts have to tell me to stop. Although Evely doesn't tell me to stop like Richard did, which is...
Go on.
Which is strange.
More.
But anyway. John A. Douglas in the
My
chat.
grand
What's going
plan.
on? Oh, God. Right. Just let Royce get more. Yeah, I have been hearing from people that are like, we miss Royce rants. And I'm just like, do I just need to go back to just doing every video as a rant?
Yes.
I mean, I can, but I thought like people wanted something different. No, apparently people want me to just be unhinged at all times.
Dance, monkey, dance.
Gorilla Mar in the chat. What's going on? Storm Corey, what's going on, man? It's good to see you. Horizon Talker heavily down there associating with the chat like he's not supposed to be. I'm gonna have to look at that contract that he's got there and see what I can do about that. All right, Snow, what's going on? It's good to see you. Mr. X, what's going on? When he popped in the chat the first time, I saw that and I was like, MRX? I was like, no, Mr. X. That's because that's how a person would read that. and not a redneck. And Jersey, what's going on, man? Oh, good to see you. Eric Grant, it's good to see you in the chat as well. Redoubt Productions, what's going on? Ichi5, what up, dude? That is a name that I am not familiar with. Who are you and why are you here? What's up? Totally excellent.
Who's your daddy and what does he do?
No.
Get to the chopper.
Oh no. Answer roll. Oh no. Oh, it's gonna be one of those streams. Oh, I might have to go get more.
We can only hope. We can only hope.
We can only hope. And ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, my fantastic co-hosts. Starting off with Mr. Daniel P. Riley. What's going on, man? How you been this week?
Good. Busy. The usual. First fulfillments should be going out hopefully next week, but if not, the first week of September for GCI number 2's first campaign on Fund My Comic. There is a second chance for those of you that are interested on Indiegogo right now. That link is in my wonderful webpage, gcidibooks.com. And I promise,
if you send me the link in the private chat, I can.
No.
How many episodes are we in at this point? Stop keeping track. I keep forgetting to put the numbers and stuff the last few weeks.
Maybe 4. I can't.
I noticed that too.
I can't call it.
I didn't mean to do that. That was a total oversight on my part. Now I have to go back and add them. Damn it.
To get back on track a little bit, I do want to shout out someone I hope we're going to have coming back to join us in September. Mr. Hojo himself. His Mythicals launch is over on Bancroft's channel. So if you're catching this on replay because you went over there, I don't blame you. But you're still a bastard.
I do. Yeah, there you go. There it is. Right. Why would you go be on Michael Bancroft other than this show? Oh, it's not like because he has like a way bigger
Bancroft
following.
and Hojo are over there.
Yeah,
you got Kmart Bancroft right here. That's what it's called. I don't even have the hat. I don't have the hat to complete the look.
Bancroft, straight up Kmart Bancroft.
That's what Eric Grant called me, and it's like it's whenever I have the hat on.
Bancroft. That is now who you are.
Kmart Bancroft.
Hi, Justin. How are you?
I'm doing all right, man. It's been a busy week, but it's like things that you work on for so long, and you're sitting there like, there's a million things, nothing's ever gonna get done, and then one gets done, and then the next one gets done, and then the next one you're like, we're making progress, we're getting things done, and then there's a new pile. But until we get to that new pile, this current pile is actually things are like they're happening, which is nice, including a surprise release.
Beautiful yet frustrating system.
It's a thing. It's a thing. I don't know how I feel about it, but we're here. So me and Chilkin oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, you guys do that in creative works. I do that in like physical stuff. Like the shed, almost done. Awesome. Now I have a trailer that I have to restore.
Yeah.
And then I have a smoker that I'm going to build after that because I'm building.
You get
another
a few
smoker.
minutes to celebrate your victory until there's another.
No, I literally didn't even the shed's not even done yet, and then I already started work on the trailer, and then.
Oh well, maybe at some point you'll be able to bask in the glory of those finished projects at some point. Just
maybe you'll actually finish a project.
Me and my buddy over here.
Off.
This guy, Mr. Chill Kid. Okay, me and him, we had a dual single that was supposed to release tomorrow, I think, and I don't know what happened, but it came out a little bit early. So if you're here and you like what Chill Kid does, or you like what I do, or you're just curious, or maybe you know somebody that is into that sort of stuff, we have a new dual single out called Antihero with some excellent art. And Chill Kid, you can go look it up. It's on every stream platform with myself. 2 tracks. One is him, and then the other version is me taking his song and breaking it apart and putting it back together with my own spin on it. I think we did something pretty cool and pretty special, and I hope you all give it a listen, and I hope you enjoy it.
Are there any banjos?
No, but dude, if there was like a bluegrass cover, that'd be sick.
At least
I don't
put
know.
in some dueling banjos.
There's all the finger picking on in there. Do you play banjo? Should we
No,
talk?
no.
No, he just wants to know if there's banjos.
You make banjo noises.
I mean, that is a very, very valid.
I can do that.
Yeah, get a kazoo in there too.
Dude.
Oh,
don't tease.
No. If you're gonna get, go with a didgeridoo. If you're gonna do anything, get a didgeridoo. Didgeridoos are wild, dude. I've heard people play didgeridoos in ways that I didn't know a didgeridoo could be played, and I'm just like, no, that doesn't make sense.
Royce fantasizes about ripping didge.
I don't know if that sounds cool or weird. I think it sounds kind of cool.
That's why I said it.
Sir, trying to sound awesome with his band friends.
Didge.
It's like a band kid, like, guys, I'm ripping didge, and like all the potheads in school are like, wait, what are you ripping, and where can we find it?
I'm picturing a cool band.
I actually stole that from Letterkenny, to be truthful.
Oh, how are you now? To be fair,
yes. Mr. Church-going Glenn plays the didgeridoo. And the gay reference was just too easy.
Just ripping some didge.
That could be a band name.
I know, that's something.
Rip and dig.
What's up,
What
Oakland?
that-
Are you ready to
dude,
rip some
that-
dig?
No, dude, that
Dude,
legitimately
no.
sounds like a ska band. Tell me that does not. So you guys all remember ska?
Of course.
You know, like punk
Like
music
punk
that
with
had
horns.
trumpet in
Yeah.
it and like saxophone for like 5 years.
They
Anybody
didn't have
remember?
banjos though.
Even 5 years. It was like a 3-year affair.
Yeah, it was. It
Banjo
was like the
Brethren.
Mighty Mighty Boss Stones, Goldfinger. Who else? Well,
Mhm.
That's it. That was all of them. You got them all.
yeah, right.
Well, I
Oh,
mean, punk often did that.
A midget, right?
They
Was
had
that
them
one?
in a lot
Yeah.
of songs, but it was never a focus of the band. It was just like an accompaniment thing for a couple
Dude.
of tracks.
well, yeah, it was
Fun.
freaking great though. I will never forget listening to Superman by Goldfinger playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, dude.
dude.
Tony Hawk. Thug,
Dude, that-
Tony Hawk Underground.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Underground.
Oh, you know. It
Underground.
had
I will say
flames on
this,
it, man. It's
dude.
awesome.
Underground was Tony Hawk's Underground was phenomenal. The second one I didn't think could be better, but it actually was. However, none of those games have my respect as much as the first one, dude. That first game, getting all the achievements, all the skate achievements and stuff like that. That first game was, I think that first game still throws its weight around to this day.
It's solid.
I mean, it
solid.
really is. Before we go down that rabbit hole, hey, we have a guest.
Oh, yeah.
everybody.
Forgot. That's what we're
This
here
is,
do?
yeah,
Shit.
yeah. He has
he
a
here
name,
yet?
and I didn't know his name up until like 2 days ago. I have always known him as the Ravens Loft, so I'm going to refer to him as that. But you guys can refer to him as the name that he has on screen. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Ravens Loft, what's going on, man? How you been?
What's up? What's up? You guys remember when they used to have DJs in metal bands in the early 2000s?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
of
Oh
course,
my
yeah.
God. Yeah.
Yeah. That was weird.
That was. God, we had an interesting time period. Like,
Yeah, music got strange for a while.
Yeah.
dude,
No, it was
yeah, but
awesome.
now it's not. I feel like we were trying for something back then, and then we got to a point where they're like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Everybody stay in their lane. And now everybody's just in their lane. They're like, oh, it all sounds homogenous now.
Boring.
Dude, because I've listened to all different genres my whole life, and that's part of just me being the youngest in the family. But remember when MTV actually played music videos? Dude, yes. And I used to watch them before I would go, because we had like MTV2 that would come in on standard TV.
yeah.
If you bent the rabbit ears just right in Colorado, you could pick up MTV2 on channel 36. It wasn't even a program channel on the TV. You had to like be weird like me and literally search every single channel to see what was. Do you guys then Andy Milonakis and High School Stories?
that
Do you guys
guy.
remember that?
Uh-huh.
Oh God. Oh, we're old.
They had to
Old.
make MTV too because MTV, the main channel, stopped playing music. They're like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Let's make a second one.
And
Yep.
then they made MTV2 the same thing as regular MTV.
We used to catch, there was like a show that came on the local channel at like maybe 11 o'clock on Saturdays, and it was called Loud, and it was a Canadian show, and they had like metal, like for real metal, like we caught Soilwork on there and Children of Bodom and Wolverine Blues and all the
shit.
stuff that they
Dude,
wouldn't even throw on MTV2. We lost our minds, like, I know this band, they're on TV.
They're on the
Black
TV.
Swedish
Oh my
metal
God.
bands.
Yeah, dude, yeah, it was awesome.
That's dude.
Exciting
Yeah.
times back in high school. Yeah.
Dude, I remember, and I never liked this band. I'm probably gonna get a lot of crap for it, but I
How dare you?
remember.
Preemptive. How dare you?
Oh yeah, no. Oh, you might, but like I could not stand, and they were like the number one on the MTV too, because they would just do the reruns of their like top tens,
You say
and
Everly.
Coheed and Cambria
okay.
was in the top
yeah.
10 for like months, and I was like, I can't. And like my best friend growing up, dude, my best friend growing up loved
I like
that band
Coheed.
a lot,
Yeah,
and
they got some
actually
good tunes, dude.
he named his first kid Cambria, which I think
Oh,
is a
that's pretty
wonderful
neat.
name
That's
for a
a
little girl.
mouthful.
Huh?
You
That's
just
a
call it
mouthful.
Cammy for short.
Cammy.
Cute,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, but
For
dude,
Bree.
no.
Playing Street Fighter. You know.
Conversation
right.
reminds me of
Fire a red beret, green leotard.
Oh God, but no, dude, that weird because she's like 13 anyway. But never mind. but no, I just remember like, and my buddy was like, "No,
waiting.
dude, like Cody and Cambria," and then who else was it? It was like Snow Patrol was big back then.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Fuck.
You know
Let's
what
go
word
back.
actually sounds like a really cool name?
If
Chlamydia.
I here.
I could name my daughter Chlamydia. Fucking
You know they got
Whoa.
DJ in their band.
Oh my god.
Hang on. Why not back?
What the fuck?
Welcome everyone to Chlamydia.
Oh my god.
I'm just listening.
You're
to
all
them,
gonna get it.
really.
And then it's just solid double kick drums and just the lead singer's
Okay.
Do they headbang in unison when they get to the metal, like the solo part of the guitar?
right.
Dun, 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 dun. I can see it.
Yeah, I can see it. So anyway, hey,
STDs is
Ravens
band
Loft.
names.
So for those who are not familiar with you, why don't you give us a little introduction to yourself? And yeah, because we could go down this rabbit hole forever, and but anyway,
that's
yeah.
the channel.
So yeah, give us the elevator pitch. Who is the Ravens Loft, and why are you here?
Yeah. So you may not have heard of me, but you might have heard of what I did. I'm the idiot that made Winnie the Pooh Demon Hunter. And
Which is fucking wild how that blew up, dude.
Yeah, it all started as a joke. You know, I've had other titles, and you know, they did okay. They resonated here and there. You know, a lot of them were kind of within the faith-based sort of area, or just fun action. You know, your action shonen sort of stuff. But Winnie the Pooh was an online joke. I found out a month after Winnie the Pooh became public domain. I was like, wouldn't it be fun if we turned him into a demon hunter? And then people were like, yes. I said,
Yes.
oh,
No,
okay. All right.
oh.
In all seriousness,
Did
you get the answer that you were not expecting?
I was like, well, I'll just draw a sketch of it real quick and put that up online. And this is good. This is gonna be it. I'll now have satiated everyone's hunger and everything. And then everyone's like, what else? Where's Piglet? What are you gonna do with Tigger? I was like, oh, that's a good question. So it kind of just steamrolled from there. And long story short, it kind of took legs of its own, and it ran ahead of me. And it's a nice problem to have, but
Right. Dude,
yeah.
I'm picturing the episode 1 meme where it's like, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? It'd be cool, right? Right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, no, it's serious.
Well, and at the time I was doing a series of jokes of like, wouldn't it be funny if Mr. Rogers was a demon hunter?
Dude, that would be sick.
Wouldn't it be funny if Thomas the Tank Engine was a demon hunter? It was just stupid lackadaisical stuff.
And then you finally ran the
Get
game.
out of my
Wouldn't it be funny if
neighborhood,
Winnie the
Satan.
Pooh was a demon hunter? And everybody had a serious thought in unison, and they were like, yeah, no, that's actually a really good idea. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, people are like, oh, the 100-acre woods infested with demons? That sounds right. I was like, okay.
What?
All right.
What? Like, what are you guys on? I mean, I'll sell it to you. I'll make it and sell it to you, but I really need to know where you guys are getting your stuff.
Yeah. Well, I had some people send me story notes, and I was like, oh, I don't want to get in trouble because I don't want to get, saying some people saying like, hey, you took my stuff. I was like, no. So, it's been a wild ride, and luckily enough, Antarctic Press picked it up, and some silly shenanigans later, it's gone a little bit further than I'm at this point. I'm just throwing it at people as a joke to be like, you want this? And then I'll just go, this is where it ends. It won't go any further. And then the next thing I hear is, yeah, man, that sounds awesome. I'm like, why? Okay. All right.
Dude, that's a great problem to freaking have.
Everybody loves Winnie the Pooh. That's
I
why.
will say this: the
It's a
best
lovable character.
The best thing that you have ever done with Winnie the Pooh was when you made Winnie the Pooh Cartman. Like, again, he was like, hey guys, wouldn't it be funny if I did Winnie the Pooh and these different things with like stickers and stuff? And I was a part of the people going, unironically, you need to make this. I would buy it. And he's like, what the fuck?
And those are great ways to test out what people are looking for. Because to me, it's just like, I would never do this. And then somehow I'll get 10 people going, why aren't you doing this already as of yesterday? I was like, well, hold up a second here. I am trying to play around with some animation, but it's down the pipeline. Some of the stuff takes forever. And the Winnie the Pooh Cartman idea, yeah, that's kind of in the pipeline, but a matter of just tinkering and fine tuning it, because now that there's expectations behind it, I can't just throw this up as a joke anymore. There's now some expectations, which runs its whole entire other scenarios. But
that's freaking, dude. Regardless, but it was wild to me that how the Winnie the Pooh Demon Hunter blew up, and we'll get to that. Because I want to hear your version of that. Because I just saw it blowing up, and I saw people talking about it on channels and tweeting about it, and I was just like, wait a minute, you've heard of this? I mean, like, I get it. Like, I'm the indie guy. Like, I'm there, like, trying to find the stuff to talk about on Comic Shop Wednesday and do the promo stuff to the best of my ability, as small as this channel is. But when bigger channels are hearing about this, I was like, okay, this has legs in a way that I didn't realize. And then I made the connection. Wait a minute, that's the guy that did Demon Hunter Raven?
Yeah, the connection doesn't always happen.
Demon Hunter thing didn't,
No. Guys, I'm a drunk redneck. I keep trying to tell people that. Nobody wants to listen to me. Although Shad believed it the other. But so how did you get into doing all like we got to cover the whole story here. How did you get in to developing and making your own books, or just where does that whole thing start with you, and how the hell do you get to making Winnie the Pooh, the Demon Hunter? Just let's start at the beginning.
Yeah, so I won't bore everyone with the long lineage, but I've been kind of trying.
Because this is your interview. You be as boring as you want. I'll liven it up. It's fine.
I'll make it entertaining. So I've always wanted to get into comics. Back in 2006, 2007, before you had your Facebook, your Twitter, and all those things, and the prominence that you can do now. Like Kickstarter was just in its budding, just getting kind of started. It was just out the door, and I really wanted to get into comics. I wanted to be the next Jim Lee. I really wanted to follow in the steps of Michael Turner. And so I was working on a portfolio. I was working on web comics, and I was doing all these sort of things. So I was trying to create a footprint for myself, and I was trying to create a portfolio, and I was starting to hit up the convention circuits.
Wait, how old are you?
I'm in my late 30s.
Okay, so not much older than me. Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Because I'm in my young 30s.
I'm still
so
the old one here.
I was like, wait a minute. I was like, you still sound way too young to be as old as the shit that you're saying. But no, it checks out.
Yeah.
He's an older code, but he still checks out.
Yeah. Don't let the voice fool you. I am older. I got a lot of gray hair, by the way. So
luckily that hasn't happened yet.
Well, if the voice fools you, the hair won't.
Yes. It's one of those days. The contrast, like, wait, what am I looking at here? Anyways,
I can't. Wait a minute. Do I respect you because you're an old, or do I shrug you off because you sound like a young?
I think I'm just gonna go tell him to F off and just walk away. Well, whatever.
So, like, you have to be the in-person interview because nobody will believe you over the phone.
No, it's the best part. This avatar does better than I could, but I joke. No, so I was trying to get a portfolio made, and I was hitting up conventions, trying to hit up editors and stuff like that. And it was always on the precipice of like, oh, you're almost there. We need to see some work. So now, at that time, what you wanted to do is you wanted to show a publication history. So I would try to get into these anthologies, show that I could work with teams. I could get work, and I could also make sales. And the biggest problem, though, is while you were trying to look for people to be in anthologies and get published work that someone was willing to print at that time, is you would run into the issue of that. Suddenly you'd have all your stuff submitted, and they'd go, hey, we're actually shutting down. None of this is going to happen. You went, oh, thanks. I just spent 3 months working on that. Awesome.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So, and there's no pay. You weren't doing this for pay. A lot of times it was fellow people that wanted to just get in the industry. And then one of them you would have this network of people going, hey, we got an anthology. Let's jump in real quick. They're only taking 20 spots. You're like, heck yeah. And all you had was 4 pages to work with. Sometimes some people were like, you'd find someone like, they're giving us 20 pages. This is our big shot. And you're like, holy cow, awesome. And then they'd be like, hey, they canceled it and they didn't do anything with it. So you'd then have these stacks of pages, and I wasn't working digital at the time, so I would be inking stuff. And
oh my god,
yeah. So it was just kind of.
So you had the physical.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Do you still have some of them? I
do. I only show them on Patreon now because what happened is I ended up getting severely sick at this time. So at 2007 to 2008, I kind of ran my candle from both ends way too hard. I was working night and day, hitting it, and it just nothing was coming of it. And I wasn't making any money to make it a career or pursue anything in the long term. So it was like, well, I've got to figure out something else. So I just stopped. I just completely quit everything. And then about 10 years later, met my wife, got married, we had our kids. And she is the one that said, you should pick this up again. And at this time now, fast forward to modern day, and the whole entire environment, the situation has changed drastically. You have Kickstarter now. You can self-publish. The opportunities are so much more numerous. At the time when I was doing it, Sean and Gordon Murphy was just going into DC Comics Inkwell project, whatever, their first online tour into trying to start online comics. Like, it was just, they were just starting out. It was this whole entire new territory. Nobody knew what they were doing except for the webcomic artists that were already out there. So jump into nowadays, and I was trying to figure out, like, okay, how does Kickstarter work? How do you get into all these things? And I had been developing my own stuff. So instead of working with other people, I started developing my own projects and started studying, like, how do you reach other people? How do you market? And really got a hold of some really great people that knew the ins and outs. I don't know if you guys know the book Rags by Brian. I'm forgetting his last name now. But it was a huge indie comic in 2019. We had this indie site that came up. It was up for like 3 months, and it just took off. It was like in a blink of an eye, it just shot up, and it did like what you're doing right now. It spotlighted creators, but it was a website, and it did rankings. You could put your book up there for sale, show it off for free. And he made it big on there. And he was like, hey, I'd be willing to help you out and give you some tips and stuff. So I would ask him stuff, and then he would share my stuff out and everything. And it really was because of him, and then Cody, the creator of Jack Irons, that really helped me get my stuff out there, get me in front of people. I owe a lot of my early first steps to those two guys. Really kind of helped open up the doors, and gave me some of the best critiques early on of creating stories. Cody, of Jack Irons, is an immense wealth of story, and he knows how to break down stuff. He is just an amazing storyteller. And the Rags books is also published by Antarctic Press. I suggest you check it out if you're looking for something that is psychological, got some cool drama. Call of Duty Army. It's kind of like his love letter to his time in the Army in some ways, and it's a really good book, especially Cody's book Jack Irons. It's about the Steel Cowboy out in outer space, and his doings out in that whole entire area. Yeah, Drawn Talk says it's Brian Ball. So he goes by Rags on Twitter, but he's not as prevalent as anymore. He was on a stint over and doing a tour somewhere, so he's just now coming back. But highly recommend those guys.
Brian Ball.
Yeah, he worked with Luigi Terrell.
That sounds really familiar. He wasn't. I have to remember what comic he was doing, but I seem to remember he was doing something that was like a cross between like Berserk and Gundam and like something else, and the artwork was that him? Or was that somebody else?
Was that Joe Ball?
Joe Ball.
Okay.
I'm sorry. That was Joe Ball, not Brian Ball. I'm sorry. My bad. Sorry. Ball. Who the fuck
too many balls, Royce?
The same last name as somebody else. It's fucking stupid.
Juggling all these balls.
You're close. You're close.
There's too many balls in the world. I'm just saying.
Basketballs, right?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Whatever kind of, I don't know. Just balls in general. So,
or not enough. I don't know.
They come in many varieties. Like, I mean, we don't have to exclude. Like
he wants ones that can fit in his hands.
Jesus fucking.
Oh,
you're gonna push it.
Everybody.
Are they looking for DJs in these areas as well?
Oh fuck.
Probably a little wicca. You know.
Oh no. Anyway. Oh my.
So, anyways, then I created Winnie the Pooh, and it shouldn't have worked out.
Wow, that joke took a minute to land for me. Fuck. Anyway, hi.
So Brian Ball.
Yeah, the other Ball.
Yeah. So, anyways, they really helped me get my start and helped me get out there, and I started running Kickstarters, and they were kind of the mentors of the people that really gave me some hard critiques, gave it to me, and told me, you know, what I should be working on, what actually stands out. And then I met Matthew Reese, who is now my longtime editor. We've been working together, I think, for 2 years now. So he's as much as the stories are done by me, he's the one that's in the background going, cut that out, rework that, switch that around. So
Daniel knows all about that life.
Yeah. So he's been my buddy in arms, my battle buddy, and then I have a few other people that come in and just work with me on the side here and there, or have been huge assets in terms of just forging forward into this unknown. And Yeah, so when Winnie the Pooh came around the corner, I had already kind of been at this for a little while of just creating and just putting out stuff just for the love of telling stories, the love of drawing, and just putting in some stories. My biggest thing is I want to tell stories that help other people that are going through maybe struggles, finding hard times. I want to help that person that's sitting in the chair that maybe doesn't know how to deal with a certain situation, and that maybe if they just happen to flip to a page and they happen to find an answer that's just happens to be on that page that's just for them. Because I think we all hit a point where we just need a little reassurance or a little help, and I really love helping anyway in any shape or form through a story and just helping lift up other people. I think we have all come across way too much negativity or someone that has torn us down, hurt our self-esteem, and I find it to just be a wealth of support to do that the best way I can.
I have no idea what you're talking about at all.
Fit right in around here.
You can't do that, but I'm going to. But you can't. But hear me out. I'm going to. Like, I don't. Yeah, dude. I mean, legitimately, you've been at this, and obviously, you said you took a break there for a while, but I mean, legitimately, you have been passionate about this and working on this for almost 2 decades. Like that is a ton of work. So like you didn't come into this just yesterday.
No,
you came into this swinging many years ago, swinging as hard as you could, and obviously, and there is such a thing as right time, right place. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean there's a lot of luck that plays into it, but I think you also have to have the skills behind it, and
of course
that gets a ping. And also the funny part is some of my very first published work is actually in Alterna when he first started up the actual company. I'm in issue 4 of his very first run of anything he ever did. And it was just by happenstance. He was actually one of the anthologies that was circulating at the earliest the time when we were getting stuff going on that end. And I don't see any of those people anymore. I think except for maybe just a few that are just still on the outer rim still that are working on stuff. But
that's so. And it's interesting you kind of ended up, because obviously back then I don't know how the clicks were back then, how they worked. Obviously the internet was a very different place in 2006 to like 2008, 2009. But so I'm not sure how all the clicks worked back then, but somehow through you getting back into this, you writing your own stuff, so on and so forth, you kind of end up in like our corner of the indie sphere, which is, Iron Age or Comicsgate or whatever the fuck people want to call it now. But that's interesting to me, is that because you've been around for a while and now you're kind of you're popping off kind of over here. And how did you kind of end up in this space of the indie side of things?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I will talk to anybody, and I'll just I know sometimes people force you into certain groups or certain cliches, but I just literally
it's my
just
favorite pastime.
Yeah, I hate that. I don't like titles. I don't like any of that stuff. My mission in life has always been to talk to anyone that is willing to listen, and listen to anyone that's willing to talk, and just have a conversation. I don't really care where you come from or who you are or what you're doing. If you're willing to chat for just a minute, and ramble, chat, whatever. And I just kind of end up in certain spaces. I'm like, well, cool. I wouldn't say I'm not the most observational person, but I just don't care enough. It is what it is to me. So,
makes sense. No,
I will chat it up with anyone, and that tends to get me in trouble in some cases,
which is ridiculous. But it's the way of the world, it seems. But no, that's wild. I'm finding out that because again, a lot of this stuff kind of popped off, got really popular. Even more popular. I mean, obviously there was the Comicsgate. For a long time, people were really involved in that, and then a lot of people still are. And then obviously like the Iron Age thing popped off, which that was more of like a whole, not just like comic books, but like, people writing novels, people creating tabletop RPGs, people running YouTube channels, people making movies, people doing video games. Just more of a kind of like a broad terminology for like, oh, indie creators actually have access to the technology now. And then it's interesting to just see a lot of the people who are doing really well for themselves have been at this for so much longer than either of those two terms have ever even been known about. Like I was surprised, and I know I'd like to think I know John fairly well, but like John Della Rose, when he came on, like to hear that he's been at this for like 10 or 15 years, like way before any of the names in the current cliques were even a thought in anyone's head, he had been working at it. You know, so many people out there who this just kind of happens to be, like you said, you got to have a little bit of luck, but you have to have the skills to back it. And it seems that, it seemed luck is kind of bestowing its grace upon the people who've been developing the skills for the last 10 or 20 years, as you are
That's normally
obviously
how it works.
Well, yeah. And that's it. And the more that I'm finding that out, the more that I'm just like, wow, like there is no such thing as an overnight success. It just doesn't. It does not exist.
I think at some point that you start to see that person rise up and you're like, wow, where's this person been this whole time? And the truth is that they've just been honing their skills or making their way up through these little channels. But a lot of this stuff comes in waves. And what was popular yesterday is suddenly that's stupid, the next day. And it's good not to be tied down to one exact thing, because I've had times where people, I mean, as much as people are saying that Winnie the Pooh has been a success, the amount of vitriol I also get on the side is I was, when I first launched it, I would get messages from like, can't wait for Disney to sue you. Hope they burn you to the ground. I was like, yeah, no, they don't own him. Don't own him.
It's, do you know what, never mind.
No, pudding brains don't know things.
I had one guy that was messaging me saying, can't wait for you to lose everything. I hope they sue you. And then when he discovered that that was wrong, he's like, hey, so anyways, here's my book that I've got. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not. No.
Oh.
Hey, anyways,
so you remember how I told you that I hoped that the largest company on the planet would just sue you and burn you into the ground? Hey, you want to promote my book for me? Fuck off.
Well, isn't that like,
Don't you love it?
There's a whole like process that it goes through. Like at first they laugh at you, then they attack you, then they embrace you or whatever. It's that whole...
and then they attack you again.
Yeah,
and they want to be your best friend. Yeah,
and I'm sure, like you guys, you have to get good at vetting who is here, who is around, what do they stand for, what do they have on, like, just let anyone come through and like, oh yeah, you can have this space. And I'm sure, just like you guys have come to the understanding of like, some people don't take that very nicely. Or they're like they kind of feel like they're owed that sort of spot.
Dude, that's really quickly. For $1 from Maji Chan. She says, this is the PayPal link, so thank you so much. It says, I enjoyed the Demon Hunter Raven collection. I'm excited to see where Winnie the Pooh goes.
Nice.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. I've been juggling kids and other responsibilities before getting on here. And, yeah, no. And I said, wife, you got the job tonight. I'm going drinking. No,
going drinking. No, don't. I mean, I guess you can blame me. I guess if you become, although we have gotten people drunk here before. And anyway,
I get drunk often.
It's true. You have been drunker than me on this show 99%. Like, I think I have been drunk you once since we've done this, and I don't remember when that one was, but I know it happened once. Other than that,
that's because I'm drinking whiskey and not a bitch beer.
Nope. You don't want to see me drink whiskey. Because
I don't know, maybe a little, maybe just a smidge.
I don't drink, but here's my problem: is I don't drink.
You don't want to see me do that. It might be really entertaining. You would hate it.
No, because the problem is I drink. So just to
drink with a crazy straw in your whiskey glass,
right? Since we've been on the show, I have finished the half of beer that I've been here. I have completely polished off that jar of iced tea, and I am now on this jar of iced tea. I drink whiskey at the same pace.
How many jars of iced tea do you have in front
of
you?
Me too.
Lined up.
I have two. I usually bring 3 drinks down to the studio to get the show started.
So 7. Got it.
Yeah, so 7.
Nice round.
Yeah, no. So that's why I don't drink hard alcohol, is because I have I drink
whiskey
coffee
that keeps me young.
I drink coffee the same way. I wake up in the morning, I drink like a pot of coffee. It's ridiculous. I drink a half a gallon of water a day. I drink way too much beer every day. I drink all of the iced tea. I just consume the liquids.
So you're well hydrated.
Dude, no, I am not. That's the problem.
Everything but water.
Oh, I have a half gallon in there. It's fine. That's why I don't drink whiskey though, because if I did that, I'd be absolutely obliterated by about now. So, dear God, okay, where were we? That was a long diatribe. Wow, one of my not one of my worst moments, but definitely not good. Anyway,
We're talking about juggling children, I believe.
yeah.
Don't
So
do that
do
near-
you
don't
do
do
a
that near
spin
us.
method? So is it a horizontal spin or is it a vertical spin as you juggle the children? Like,
Well, I like to switch it up, but I wouldn't suggest doing it near a fan. That doesn't work out so well.
well, you get really good and you can throw them in between the fan blades.
Yeah,
It's,
but sometimes they get
Oh,
sent
wow.
out by the wind blades, you know.
It's all
Oh,
about
there goes one
timing.
kid.
I never even thought about that, but
you
that makes a
can
lot
make
of
more
sense.
kids. You can make more kids. I found this out.
Yeah, it is, and it's a fun process.
Highly enjoyable. I definitely recommend it.
I have 5 kids. We had to do a few trial and error, you know.
Nice.
It's like, wow, that
so
one
anyways,
came out a
Winnie the
little
Pooh and all
retarded.
that.
Let's try again.
You know. So Winnie the Pooh is about adolescence and childhood, you know. So you know.
Oh
it's,
God. Oh,
It's my favorite threat to my daughter.
no.
Don't test me, child. I can replace you pretty easily and enjoy doing it.
For that before, and you go,
Yeah, when she hit teens and understood, she was like, oh.
yeah.
It's like,
The
Dad,
threat is actually not
no.
as bad as the thought that follows it. It's like,
Mhm.
a little bit of a different meaning.
I will be
Yeah.
good as long as you never say that around me again, for the love of God.
Yeah, the joys of my house.
Oh no. So yeah, it's gone. I had questions. They're gone now. Gentlemen. So so as you were getting back after the years of taking a break and your wife is like, "Hey, go for this, try it again." What was your first success that you were like that? I don't know, I guess the wind in your sails that you were like, "Wow, I can really do this." And it, cuz like we all said, and I don't remember who it was earlier that said it in the show, but it was like everybody kind of needs that little thing, that little push, instead of all the negative around you.
Right.
Like what was that little thing that you were just like, "Oh, I can do this."
Yeah, so I think it was Demon Hunter Raven was the first time where I had people asking me what was going to happen in the next part, and that was the unfortunate part, is being inexperienced in telling long form stories. Is creating that narrative path. I definitely fumbled and was like, oh man. But that's when Matt, my editor, came in, because the first 2 volumes, or the first 2 books that I put out, didn't have an editor. I was like, I can do this, and then it was no, I can't, I shouldn't. So then that's when we kind of started creating a larger narrative path, and he was like, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "Yeah, I was just feeling it out." He's like, "Stop that." So, okay.
No. No.
No.
What? No.
That was an actual conversation we had. I'm not even.
Wait, no kidding.
No, he's such a cool dude. We'll have these long conversations, and he's like, "Yeah, you shouldn't do that." I was like, "All right, okay."
Hey, that thing that you're thinking right now? Yeah, stop thinking that. Oh.
he's like an open Wikipedia. We're working on the back lore of Wonderland right now for the book, and so we've been kind of trying to figure out, okay, is she at the point where she's in the Looking Glass story, or is this after the Looking Glass? How is she being presented as she comes into the story?
Ooh.
And he'll just be like, jot off the whole entire story. I'm like, did you just look at Wikipedia for it? I was like, no, I'm just sitting in my car driving. I'm like, well, okay, that's a little freaky. All right.
That's how I hate people with just encyclopedia. Like,
Oh,
not
he's smart.
like I hate them, like I don't want to associate with them, but
Right.
I'm just like, God, can I just have a little bit of that, please?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's good to know people like that and have them in your corner, though.
Yeah.
It's a great
Yeah.
resource,
Dude,
good reference.
I have the encyclopedic knowledge if the encyclopedia was waterlogged for several years and a few of the pages were then in a fire and then a few of the pages got torn out.
Right.
It's like, I absolutely have information, but I don't have Yeah, but I can't connect it well. Sometimes I remember shit from another different place. It just like I absolutely have the information, but you guys are gonna have to figure out where all of it comes from.
Well, and sometimes you end up as an idea guy, and then you have an execution guy that's on your side. And having worked in this medium for a while now, is it's fun because you do need to be constantly generating ideas, because the minute that stops, you kind of then you're sitting there going, oh crap, what am I doing? And then you kind of need. That's why I enjoy having an editor, because they help you kind of pull that all together. And like, okay, so far you've got an alphabet soup, but it's not forming words. Let's help you out with this. And you're like, yeah, let's put the words on the page. Okay. So he's our first work together was an actual book that ties into Demon Hunter Raven, was called Saint Nick the Demon Hunter, and it's based off of the actual patron saint, Saint Nick. Because in my house we don't actually teach about Santa Claus, we teach about the actual saint. I'm not Catholic, but I just think that's such an awesome story, and his particular origin of how we've then turned him into the myth. And then I looked at Matthew and I said, hey, you know a lot about this guy. What if we turn him into Demon Hunter and we used him as the catalyst for a lot of stuff that's happening in the story? And he's like, bet. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Bet.
So he wrote this. We only did 20 pages, but he wrote this beautiful story. And this is when I was like, okay, how do we do this continuously over and over again? I don't want to spoil it, but it's the volume or omnibus 0 in the Demon Hunter lore. That sets up kind of the back lore as to, like, there's been demon hunters for as long as we can remember. Demons are as old as time, but the people that are in certain time periods are the answer to dealing with them. And so Winnie the Pooh is part of this large lore that we're building that's going to take years and years. Like, I don't plan on stopping. I just plan on jumping from one character to the next and like, all right, we're doing this now. Like one book that I'm planning on getting back to is the one where I turned a nun into a demon hunter. It's an 1100 I'm terrible with time periods. It's 1100 France during this, the part where, the Catholic faith is really large. And we have something called the Nocturnal King that comes in, and he starts terraforming the whole entire place, turning this into like a whole entire new landscape, and he's creating a new empire. Kind of similar to the idea of like, what if the devil actually was running the land? What would that look like? So he starts creating his nightmare generals, and they are enslaving people, whipping people and stuff. And the last vestige, the last thing that can stand up to it, is this little monastery. And only this nun who has no clue what's going on ends up becoming in contact with something called the Radiant, and she is the only thing that can fight against it. So it's literally just a literal story about light versus darkness, evil versus good, as simple as you can get. But I love telling simple stories, but having the characters fill in those whole entire pages of, who is this person? How can we relate to them? What is the journey that they're going on? And that's been the most fun about Winnie the Pooh, is we've all grown up with Winnie the Pooh. We all know who he is, and Christopher Robin. So it's about now placing him in these scenarios that we wouldn't expect. He's running around with a chainsaw cutting up demons. And as brutal as that sounds, I really want to keep that childlike wonder. So my whole entire point of, once I decided I was going to go into this and decide, okay, this has to be a real thing. This can't just be a joke anymore. We can still joke about it and be funny, but now it's got to be real. I got to take this serious. So the main concept was to go, those stories that Mill told way back in the day are still going to be there, but now we're going to move forward as to, now you were there with him as a kid, and you grew up, and Winnie the Pooh was there. He was your friend. He was teaching you about, growing up, childhood wonder, innocence, being kind to other people, how to deal with all those sort of things. But now as an older adult, especially as men, what would Winnie the Pooh be like that, be there for us now? How would he help us deal with our more mature side of things? How would he help? What would we be doing if he was walking alongside us? So that was kind of the basis for the theory, and the idea was, you're not a kid anymore. You're an adult that has to deal with adult situations. But Winnie the Pooh is right next to you still. So it's the idea of a grown-up Christopher Robin that's dealing with this whole entire, and then the idea of the demons became more of our problems on our day-to-day life. We all have struggles. We all have problems where, like, you've been friends with someone for so many years, and suddenly you get into an argument, and maybe you're not mending those bridges very well. Well, Winnie the Pooh has always been about, finding those commonalities and playing fun. You've got Tigger, who is this over hyper energetic guy, but then he's always rubbing off on Tigger the wrong way, and Tigger's like, I'm sorry, Rabbit, and Rabbit's like, would you just get out of my face? And then you've got, mopey dopey Eeyore over there who, you need to uplift him, and he has to be the sound voice of reason in some cases. So the idea behind Winnie the Pooh became, as much as it's played as a joke, it's also meant to be kind of the substructure that you can look at it and go, wow, that actually helped me out with something that I'm dealing with. Or, I never heard it from this perspective. I'm glad that new idea was presented to me. So as much as I care about telling a story, I also really want to help people, because I don't think there's a single person that hasn't watched Winnie the Pooh and went, wow, that was that was really cool, or I came across something like Piglet's timidness. There's a bunch of people that have anxiousness, or they're anxious, and I know we always like to ascribe these sort of emotions, or like Eeyore's depression and stuff like that, and using this as a place to talk to people that put those onuses upon themselves to then talk to them about, like, hey, there's different things you can look at. Here's a different perspective for you, using those characters as that sort of portrayal, and talk directly to them through the character, with some really cool action scenes in the playing out throughout the thing.
I mean, it legitimately sounds like, because that's kind of what Winnie the Pooh was originally. Is like, people all have children have different personalities and different attitudes, and yet they can all still get along, and they can all still. And it legitimately sounds like you just took Winnie the Pooh and you were like, let's keep doing that, but just like how again, like, as adults, how do they tweak? How do they change just a little bit?
Yeah, and in this book, it's still, they're still. I didn't want to change anything about them, and it's just now that they have to deal with demons, and now they're adults, and so I read Mill's books, and I didn't want to actually change any of their characters. Winnie the Pooh is still Winnie the Pooh. He's still this fun-loving, lackadaisical, doesn't want to do anything because he was looking for honey, wants a snack. And Tigger's still this over hyper anxious sort of guy. He's the best at what he does, and he's bouncy, and all that stuff. And Rabbit still is tending and picky and anxious.
I swear to God, there's got to be a scene where Tigger is just like fun, and just beating demons. like, please, for the love of God, tell me that will be in at some point.
I gotta look that up to see if that's a Disney thing. I can't remember if it's only the books.
Yeah, it is a Disney thing.
Yeah, even him on his tail. I can't do the tail. I have to have him bouncing on all four. That's a Disney thing.
So there are interesting challenges that arise with you get an idea, but then you have to make sure it's okay to actually run with it. Okay.
Yep. Well, and one thing I've got a slew of people going, when is Badger going to appear? I said, hey, funny story. He can't. He's a Disney exclusive. And literally, as you're watching the actual first movie that they put out,
Gopher?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Gopher. Gopher literally says, hey, that's not from the book. And they're telling you directly that he's an add-on. He's not from the book, because the actual movie is a one-for-one almost adaptation of Mill's first book. So there's a lot of areas that you can't touch on, or that you have to be really careful, because while Disney did a one-for-one for pretty much is one of the few times where you can actually say the book and the movie are pretty closely tied together. Disney did add those small little things in there that, like Tigger bouncing on his tail. Well, no, he bounced on all fours in the book.
Right. Okay. I
didn't know that. Interesting.
They actually, but they paid reference to that in the one of the first times that you meet Tigger. They did pay reference to him bouncing on all fours, and you do see that in the movie very briefly. But he does more bounce on his tail. But he, I think, when he's actually doing the song, the first time that he meets Winnie the Pooh, he does actually bounce on all fours.
Yes, and he still pounces on people's all four.
Yeah,
it's just the middle parts in between.
That's interesting. Back when Disney used to actually, what the hell they were.
It's kind of funny though that an adaptation like this is going to be more lore accurate than maybe the cartoon that someone like myself grew up watching. It's sort of funny.
And there's still a part to play towards that.
Well, and I'm sorry, Mother Goose, freaking the Red Queen, like. This is great.
I haven't really told anyone about this. Can I give you guys a little spoiler?
I mean, you're gonna tell a lot of people.
I'll do it here. So Mother Goose is, you guys are gonna see real soon here. She's coming up against here, but the reason why she's one of the four kings, or the rulers of the land, because she actually runs a terrorist organization.
Oh no! Yeah, that's not good.
she's Mother Goose, and she's still Mother Goose, but she sends her geese around and her agents to actually go and cause mayhem and all this chaos across the 100-acre woods, and she wants to create instability across the many places. She wants to be mother to all, to put it kindly.
So what is the like overall tone of these books? Are they more fun and lighthearted? They sound like maybe they are a little bit more serious, or is it kind of hit all the different notes?
I like hitting all the notes. So the first book is about introducing you to the characters, the lore, and the world. And so it's played more fun, it's goofy, but there's serious moments in there because
I hear Mother Goose terrorist, and I'm like, whoa, hang on.
But the start of
a terror goose.
Yes,
terror goose. Yes.
I'm sorry, my wife's letting the dogs in.
You're fine.
Let's just be a few seconds here. The next part though kicks into what is called the War with Wonderland, and so you've got this giant invasion that's happening. So the end of the first arc is that you learn that these kingdoms have been kind of at odds with each other here and there, and Wonderland is known for its sort of crazy aloofness, whatever you want to, just straight up like how the books are written. It's nonsensical, and so I really wanted to play with the idea that they don't get along with anyone else. The Queen of Hearts is very diabolical. So what do you do when you combine that with Winnie the Pooh's world? Is that they're always going to be at odds with each other. And so we're starting this whole entire part where there's been peace for so long, and then out of nowhere, the Queen of Hearts declares war on them and starts sending agents in. So as we're getting into this next book, we're dealing with why did that happen? Where is this coming from? So there's still a silliness, an aloofness, a goofiness to it because of Winnie the Pooh's whole entire lore. But we're going to bring in some more mature things and play with that.
Okay, as stupid as this is going to sound. Is Winnie the Pooh still stuffed with fluff?
Yes.
Oh, he is?
Yes.
Okay. I legitimately, because I'm like, damn, bro, like Winnie the Pooh is like a power lifter now.
Mm-hmm. No,
like
you have like a mug with the honey in it. He's like chugging it instead of eating it with his hand.
I actually asked people, because I was like, I could go either way with his character design. By the time I was done with the second volume, I was like, I'm kind of not being consistent with his design here. So I asked people, I like, what are you enjoying more about his character design? And overall, it was they loved the buff arms. They loved seeing him with these power arms, beat them and smash them arms. But then still this round tub, rotust sort of tummy. I was like, all right, we can play with that. We can do a mix of both. So
they love the round tub.
Yes. They didn't want to see an all-out muscular. They said that was going too far, which I agree. That then kind of goes against his sort of setup and the way that he's built.
That's really cool that you listen to what the fans want and then try to give them something that they'll continue to enjoy.
Stop that.
That's neat. That's a novel idea. I feel like the industry could learn something.
Well, Winnie the Pooh is the only one that I'm doing that with. The other books I have a very personal, or I want to tell a very particular story. But to me, Winnie the Pooh is owned by everyone. I'm just playing in his sandbox right now, and everyone has a certain viewpoint of it. And I think compared to Mickey Mouse, so here's the thing though, is to me the way that I've seen it, the way people have approached these characters is Winnie the Pooh is an actual character. A lot of people actually think Winnie the Pooh is their best friend. A lot of people get very outraged by different portrayals of Winnie the Pooh. I think that's why we've seen so much outrage or sudden, that's wrong. But not so many people got upset about Mickey Mouse because Mickey Mouse is a mascot. Not many people see him as a character. I think when it comes to some of these characters, you have to respect what has been there before and play it off in that sort of way.
Great. I'm sorry. I love this panel. Dude. Tigger just bouncing in on Rabbit like that.
Yes.
Hey, buddy, what's going on? And that is a very, very big tiger bouncing on a very, very not so big rabbit.
I will say when this project first came up, I think it was on CSW, pretty sure. And I heard about it, I'm like, this is an outrage. Winnie the Pooh, I love that story from when I was a child. This isn't, I can't believe. And now I've changed my mind completely. You won me over. I'm like, okay, I get it now. Because for all I'm like, I can't, but it makes sense.
Yeah, and I think because my goal, so the original part was I was working with another writer to kind of flesh this out. And we were going in a much darker tone. And nothing against what we were working on. It's just when my wife pulled me to the side, and she's a big Winnie the Pooh fan. I'm not. She has won me over though. I've been doing a lot of research since picking this up. You have to if you're going to do this.
Yeah.
And she looked at me. She goes, "You screw this up, there's going to be consequences for you. I said, oh no, oh crap.
Like, we need to come here. We need to
He's
talk.
going
gonna
to
have
get
to
a
talk.
divorce. There's going to be mobs. It's not going to
Got
be
you
a
by the collar.
What weekends do you want the kids on? Because that's how. No, I'm.
Right.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
And
But
by the way, here's how much I want in alimony. Oh no.
just a real quick note here. So this is Tweedledee and Tweedledum that are appearing
That's
in the story.
freaking great.
And they are double the trouble. No, my wife was the biggest advocate for me basically staying within the lanes of who Winnie the Pooh is and measuring it by that, because she grew up with Winnie the Pooh. She had stuffed animals, and she talked about how she watched the show, and and then I reread those stories to my own kids, and just having them sit there. Actually my two oldest boys wrote a backup story for the second volume, and I'm having them come back to write something right now for this one, if we hit a certain stretch goal. But it's that childhood like wonder. It's that awe-inspiring. Like, these characters are timeless. They are who they are, and I don't think messing with that formula is wise, because we all have a perception. Now, 20 years from now, that might change, but I think where we're at right now, that's where we're at, and I think that's why so many people have had such very volatile reactions to anything outside that realm.
Mm-hmm. Dude, this is. I love the way that you did this, because I look at this and I go, man, this is a unique take, but also it's familiar. Oh, yeah, it's familiar because you are literally like, hey, I'm just going to tell the story with the same characters, but, like 20 years later.
Yes.
And that's really cool. And it sounds like you're pulling it off, because if I am not mistaken, you got a lot of coverage from earlier and late, or was it late last year or earlier this year, where I saw Winnie the Pooh Demon Hunter appear on several like online like geek article websites.
Yeah.
And a lot of people talking about Winnie the Pooh Demon Hunter, and I was, again, it was one of those like, wait, like I get it, like I'm kind of like the indie guy, like I'm in the space, I kind of see a lot of this stuff going on. What the hell am I missing here? And again, it was at that point I was like, wait a minute, I know that guy, and I'm like, oh, good for him. It was ridiculous, but yeah, it's how was that for you? And what, I mean, obviously this is volume number 5,
right?
But how is that for you? How many volumes were out? And then do you know the catalyst that kind of like got it out there, and how was that time period for you?
So the catalyst was really, I'm not trying to draw attention, because I don't want to, there's going to be fans of it, and I don't want to deter people that enjoy it, but I had a tumultuous relationship with the people behind a certain movie that came out around the same time that I had been putting out my work, and you guys could probably pick up who it is, but they've taken off, and I got to know maybe one or two of the people that were mixed into those productions and ended up talking to them, and long story short is the catalyst was kind of a feud that broke out between it. I didn't like them and they didn't like me, and then it kind of went on for like 6 months.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
I think I know the production that you're talking about. Yeah,
and while I won't make any statements, because I want to separate myself as far from that particular place, and that's what ended up happening is I agreed to endorse the particular product, and I regret that doing that now, and I wish I hadn't. At the time, I was being sold the saying of, a rising tide lifts all boats, and I was told, we're in this together, and I was like, oh, you're kind of right. We are kind of the current Winnie the Pooh people right now, and there's nothing wrong with us kind of banding together. And that bit me in the butt, because they were right behind me, then stabbing my boat and stealing supplies, and I went, holy crap. So then we ran into an issue where they started endorsing my work as their own work, and I ended up having to put out some sayings. I have screenshots of it, and I ended up having quite a ferocious, volatile conversation with the person behind the scenes.
Jeez.
That, Yeah, I won't go into full on details, but more or less that ended up being the catalyst that helped push it further, because some people were very did not like the version that was coming out. And I've always
I know what you're talking about. That I didn't want to see that because that looked way over the top. And I remember at the time, and I was like, okay, so they're doing this version, and then they're just going to do a comic version. I'm like, I don't know if I need. Okay, that's hilarious. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And so they tried. There was a lot of underhanded things going on behind the scenes by the time I started calling them out on stuff, and it was an unfortunate moment, and it taught me a lesson about the bigger pond of how some of these people operate. Because in the indie sphere, we're talking together. Some people don't operate in that measure. They want to use you to flex or gain your audience, or use you as a piece. And so that was kind of an unfortunate, because I just, that's where I've gotten a lot stricter on who I endorse and who I say is gets my endorsement and stuff like that. And I'm still a nobody. The series is taken on more of a life than me, and I just try to be very strict on who gets to have say or be around it or whatever. So long story short, that ended up propelling it, because we ended up having a feud. And what I came to the conclusion is, what I started telling people was, if you're into more of a darker portrayal, I will direct you towards that, because everyone's going to have their tastes. Everyone's going to have what they like.
Right.
And I'm not here to tell you what you like and what you don't like. That's not my job. I'm here to provide a different alternative, that if you want something that's still in the same heart, that has a little bit more of a fun twist on action and goofiness, my portrayal is going to be hopefully more to your liking. And even then, I can't say you will. You have to read the actual product to determine that for yourself. And so there's just so much I can't say.
No, you're fine. No. And
yeah,
no, and that's totally fine. And I don't want you to say more than you have to. Like I said, I just kind of wanted, because now that you say that, I do kind of remember that. But the interesting thing is, out of that time period, I think you're the one that's kind of remembered, and you're the one that kind of won out, because you weren't. The sad fact of the matter is that the first thing that's going to happen when everything becomes not open source.
I'm drawing a blank on two.
Public.
Yeah,
yeah, there you go.
Public domain. Sorry.
Yeah.
Open source is software. Public domain
It's like
is
royalty free. What is it?
Royalty free. LimeWire. No, not that one. Napster. No, that's not it. Anyway, no. Sorry. Public domain is a lot of people. The second that something becomes public domain, the first things that people are going to do is bastardize the product.
Yep.
They're going to bastardize it. They're going to change it. They're going to say, we want to do something just horrific with this in a way that it's not even recognizable anymore. And you came out and you're like, hey, it's public domain, but we can still recognize it for what it was. And there's still a story here to be told. And it's almost like somebody who has respect for the IP kind of taking care of it is what should happen. And that's part of the reason that I completely forgot that other project had come out up until you had just said something. And
Same here.
I think a lot of other people, I don't know if a lot of other people are in the same boat, but I definitely am. And it sounds like that back and forth kind of worked out in your favor.
To a degree. One of the things that I try not to bring up is so when the sequel came out, there was a huge confusion as to whether my book was tied to it. And they thought that it was, because a lot of things ended up being somewhat, I don't want to say swiped. I'm going to say there was some similarities. Yeah, so there ended up being a chainsaw in there and some small story points that got reused from my books, and I'm just going to leave it up to people that have maybe seen both to make their own conclusions. But for a while there, it was somewhat tense, because people were going like, "Oh, so you have a big screen project coming out," and I was like, "No, that's not me. I have nothing to do with that." But there was some promotional similarities that were causing a bit of strife, where I'd have to redirect people or tell them I had nothing to do with those projects. But the biggest catalyst, though, was Antarctic Press, Ben Dunn's publishing company, picking up the book, which really forged ahead into the wider pool. So it was getting mentioned by other groups of people here and there, but now it's been put on shelves And the coolest part is hearing from retailers, people that have been picking up the book that are stocking it, telling me that it's hard for them to keep it on the shelves.
Oh, cool.
People are
That's
grabbing
great.
it. Now, that sounds cool, but again, how many copies are they ordering? Like 3 or 5. So it's
That's better than they order 3 or 5 and like they're still sitting there. They're collecting dust.
Better
At
than
least somebody's picking
1
up,
or 0.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's still a cool feeling to say.
Yeah.
And it's been a very wild ride. And there's more other adaptations that are coming out. Like Xenoscope just came out with their book called Pooh versus Bambi, which ended up being better than the title gives off. It's actually a militaristic 80s movie style version of Winnie the Pooh, and it's drawn wonderfully. It's not necessarily my taste of storytelling, but it's well done. Just not my cup of tea. But again, it's for me. It's not me to tell people what they do or don't like. They have to judge that on their own merits.
Right.
But it's getting into comic shops. Demon Hunter Raven didn't create that same splash. It didn't create that same awareness where it kind of just it was like a sneeze and then like what was that and then it was gone. And I say that with absolute kindness because it is what it is. And it only had so much legs that could run with. But Winnie the Pooh, again, it's name recognition. You hear those words together, Winnie the Pooh, Demon Hunter, immediately makes you kind of go, "What did you just say?" Yep,
that was my knee-jerk reaction. And
yeah. And once in a while I'll get attacked just for that name alone, which is Julie right. I mean, the title is very misleading. It's done as a joke and tongue in cheek, and those that read it go, "Oh, okay, this isn't serious." But people's first reactions to it are literally people going, "How dare you? You were," and I'm like, "No, seriously, hold up for a second. It's not what you think it is."
Yeah, that's what I'm learning from this conversation is that I see these things and again, my initial reaction, I was like, I'm not giving that the time of day. But now that I'm sitting down and looking, I'm like, I need to look into Pooh versus Bambi, and I need to actually look at these other, ideas that are going out there because there's actually something to them more than I had thought from a cursory surface level glance.
Right.
Yeah, but that's unfortunately hard for the rest of the world to do. So
yeah. I understand that reluctance.
Yeah,
you gotta kind of lead people by the nose a little bit.
Yes, and that's why I have the first chapter up for free on Global Comics because that conversation does come up quite a bit in the last 2 years. Is then having the first chapter open so that people can then judge it on whether and even just the quality of whether they because not everyone's gonna gel with the story or gel with the book. And I would like people to have a chance to judge it on their own merit of whether this is something they want to join into, because there's nothing worse than getting into a book and then find out I didn't like this. This isn't what I wanted.
I love that you do that. I think that's a really cool practice whenever you come across it for somebody being willing to give their work out, even if it's just a portion you give out. Is it the entire first issue?
It's just the first 20 pages.
Okay, yeah. So you get, it's a healthy chunk of the story, and to put that out there for people to say, like, dip your toes in the pool. I understand this might be hitting you the wrong way. Just come and check it out and see if it's, it's free. All it takes is a few minutes to dive in and see if it is up your alley or not. I think that's awesome that you do that.
I'll drop the link for that in the private chat so you guys can share that.
Perfect.
Give me 1 second here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really cool.
Okay, I just put it in there.
Good deal. Well, if Royce or Daniel take care of that, and I don't know how to do all this fancy wizardry these pros know. So you mentioned like getting into comic stores. You talked about going to cons before as well. You've been doing this for, as Royce said, the better part of 2 decades. What's your favorite part of the process and all this, and has it changed or?
Yeah, I think the creating part, because when you're at that early onset, anything's possible. You're kind of exploring options. You're as I said earlier, the alphabet soup hasn't formed words yet. You haven't put the whole thing together, so it has all this potential. But then once you got to get to the actual execution of it, that's a little bit more stressful because now it has to be good. Now you've got to cut all those parts. You have to be very very distinct on what you want and where things are going to go. And so sometimes you're cutting out stuff that you're like, I really like that part. To me, that's the hardest part, because I'm like, I just want to throw it in anyways. And then my editor will be like, what do you stop that?
You mean like a director's cut or something?
Yeah, I'm going to go Zack Snyder on all this here. And
there you go. Release the Mueller cut.
Yes. So to me, that's always just like the hardest part, where I'm just like, I want to really tell that part, or I really like this part, and then having to go back and go, no, this could be better. It's something I really struggled on early on. I would just shove it in there and just go, no, it's happening, and then I would pay that price of going, it really bogged it down, or it didn't work, it didn't serve the narrative purpose.
Sure.
People would let me know. That's the one cool thing about having people read your stuff, is they will let you know. They will tell you, hey, that sucked. The hardest part was when we went on Demon Hunter Raven, when I went from issue 2 to issue 3. Is issue 2 got really good reviews, then issue 3 came, and I was like, it's gonna be the same thing, and people came back as like, I didn't like that as much as the last one. It wasn't as good. And I was like, oh, and that was the first time hearing that and being like, well, what did I do wrong? And then having to go through and be like, wow, people have expectations when you start doing this, and you can do it to a certain degree, but are you going to bring in the 4th issue? Is it going to do that? And then people will drop you. They're like, yeah, I just can't do this anymore.
I feel like what's tough about that too is sometimes you're more likely, I think, to hear the negative feedback than the positive. And so there's probably people out there that got it and thought awesome things about it and just didn't bother to make a comment. I think just as humans, we're more prone if we're upset to say something, and that's a shame.
Yeah, the negative does come out a lot more. I have been lucky though that I've had a good mix, and I know not everyone can say that. So that has been a blessing. That it's not. I know a lot of people just don't get that, and maybe because of people that don't like it are just like, they're like, I am done. I'm not doing this anymore. Screw that guy. But I also try not to promote vitriol. I try not to stir up that stuff.
I have an issue with, and it's, I don't know, there could be an argument made both ways for this one, but one of the things that I look at when it comes to especially a lot of newer writers or people who are, just starting out or coming up, or man, they made a splash, now it's time to keep that going.
Yep.
I have a big issue with everybody out there who's like, well, I've been following for comics for 30 years. And these are the guys that I read. And I'm like, okay, so you've literally read some of the most prolific writers in comics in the last 50 years. Awesome. And they're like, and this guy with his first book wasn't that good. I'm like, well, no shit, Sherlock. Have you read the first books from some of these guys? They'll tell you that they were bad. It took them 20 years to get there. And I have this idea. It's like, guys, you don't hold a kindergartner up to the standard of a college graduate. Well, maybe you do nowadays, but I mean, the world's weird. But like, there's levels here. Like,
no, there isn't.
I don't understand.
Everyone will be held to the same standard, Royce. That's how the world works now.
Like, and I am the guy. I am the guy who has literally said on this show, like, my favorite book is still behind me. It's Dante's Inferno. And I'm like, guys, look, you want to make a splash in the world? Like, you really want to be remembered? Write something as good as Dante's Inferno. And I'm on the record for that. I also am on the record saying I'm not going to hold somebody's first book to the same standard as I am Dante's Inferno. Like, they need some time to get there. Now, if after their third or fourth or fifth attempt, they're still not getting better, all right, let's write you off. I have, like I said, I kind of hold the same rule for television shows. I got a 3-episode rule. If after 3 episodes I can't get into it, it's just not for me. And maybe it not being for me just means it's bad. Maybe it not being for me just means it's not for me. But some of these people that are like, well, the first book was definitely not equal to the best comic I've ever read in my life. I'm like, how the...
You're not even being genuine on that one. It's the first panel of the first page. That's how these people work these days. Everything has to be lightning fast and perfect, or it doesn't sell.
What's so funny is I know some people that they have that mentality about certain books, but then they're like, dude, you got to watch One Piece. It gets good around episode 500. And I'm like, no, 5. They told me 500. I'm like, sir, are you out of your tree? Like, 500 episodes? Like,
they're hanging upside down at that point.
Yeah, it's serious.
That is the bane of my existence, is when people are like, dude, you have to watch this show, but it takes a while to get. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, once a while. Like,
500 episodes is a
like
bit much.
yeah, like people are like, no, like it gets good. I'm like, all right, guys, like I need you to, so that's how I sold people on Supernatural, who thought that show was very different. I love that show. I think the first 5 seasons of Supernatural are some of the best TV that have ever been put to TV.
1000%.
And and people are like, oh, the show about the ghosts and stuff. They're like, isn't that just like a chick show? I'm like, no, chicks love the show, but not for a very different reason. But like, it's a good show. And I used to tell them, I will never forget. There are 2 people, 2 of my best friends. One of my best friends from high school, and one of my best friends still to this day. And I was like, give it the first 3 episodes. Just if you get to the 3rd episode and you decide it's not for me. So in high school, a lot of streaming services weren't like it wasn't. Netflix was just starting to get in there, but they didn't have a bunch of shows. I literally gave my DVD collection of Supernatural to my buddy, and I was like, "Hey, if you want to check this out, check it out." My buddy checks it out on streaming. Funny enough, by the time they were 3 days in, because they started it on a Friday night, both times. By Sunday, they're like, yeah, I'm on like episode 12. I'm like, oh, is it that bad of season 3? And I'm like, fucking wow. And what? They're like, yeah, I basically did nothing yesterday, but watch. And I'm like, how many? And I'm like counting the hours, and I'm like, there's not even that many hours in the day. How did you like? I might have only slept like a couple hours, and then as soon as I woke, like. Because again, but if it's 3 episodes, and I think that's fair. Hey, you get 3. Like if somebody's starting off a new comic book, all right, you get 3. If by the 3rd one you're not wanting to check out the 4th, I think that's a fair rule, and nobody wants to do that. It's like it's the first one. It's like Daniel said, it's got to be the first panel, the first sentence, and it's like that's not a fair comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't.
But the metric holds, unfortunately, because you've got hundreds, if not thousands, of people creating these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one person has time for all of them. So there are by which you weed out what's going to work for you. And unfortunately, the mindset of people these days is that if it doesn't grab you from the start, you don't finish it.
Okay, so if it's absolutely atrocious from the start, I just go, nope, not doing this again. It's a one and done. But if there is merit there, and it's like, okay, definitely had some speed bumps, definitely a little bit of a rough road in that first one, but there's merit there. There's things that they could do with this. Now let's see if they pick up on those threads and they run with that. Because that's how I look at a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but consider the cult classic. The reason it's a cult classic and not a mainstream success is because it was worth the people who actually took the time to pay attention to it. It was worth their time, but not worth the public's interest.
Well, but a lot of those nowadays, because they were cult classics back then, are just, you could almost just call them classics now.
Correct.
Because, and I would say that those are more closely related to like the lightning in a bottle effect, right? It's like, I would more closely relate it to that. It's like you're not going to capture it twice, which is a lot of times why some of these cult classics try to do another one, and they're not as good. Boondock Saints being a great freaking reference there. Like when I hear cult classic, immediately my brain goes to Boondock Saints. The first Boondock Saints is absolutely incredible. It's the second time on stream. We've talked about it this week. Or no, when did I talk about it? I don't remember. But it is a phenomenal freaking movie. The second one, not as good. Second one still has merit, still has its good parts. I feel that the second one has more quotable lines for me, and that's just because I love the lines in that movie. But again, I feel like the first one was just lightning in a bottle, and you're not going to capture that again. I don't know. Sorry, Raven. What do you think about that, man? How do you feel that people are grading first time people out of the gate? Like, are they too harsh? Are they not harsh enough? Where do you fall in this whole thing?
I think that's a really good question. And I want to piggy off by saying, I think more people will trust or enter a product based upon people's word of mouth. Because I think
for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I can think of Common America. A lot of people jumped in that because of the word of mouth, the likability of the creators, and the likability of the series itself. And I think, like you just talking about Supernatural now, just made me go, I've never watched that, but based upon Rice's recommendation here and his taste in things, it sounds like something I should check out on my own side here. So I think
at least the first 5 seasons.
Yeah, the first 5 seasons.
It is, dude. And here's the thing: it's not. It's they ended up switching right. Well, it was supposed to be canceled like 6 times. They kept trying to cancel it, and then all of the people who were fans of it kept telling the CW that they would basically just boycott the entire channel, and that was their viewership.
Right. Right.
Like that. And the CW basically just kept turning back to those guys, and they were like, "Here's a bigger paycheck," and they were like, "Well, fuck, I guess we're gonna do it again." Like
what's the script, Leviathan? Let's try that for a season.
Fuck it, let's
What's the worst thing gonna happen? It'll be fine.
They finally, and I, if I am not
We've
mistaken,
got 6 weeks to do an entire season. Pick a monster, guys.
dude. Yeah, and I think that they. If I am not mistaken, I think the CW wanted them to continue. And after 15 seasons, the guys were like, no.
Yeah, the actors said, no, we're done.
Yeah, the actors themselves said, we will not be coming back. They're like, the story has been, which
is why we got the short-lived but kind of obnoxious The Winchesters.
Oh, I forgot about that.
They were... And I actually loved the concept here, and it got a lot of flack because it was the rah-rah feministy part of it. But it was, they kind of snuck in like a pilot episode, which was like the Wayward Sisters, which was like the 2 young girls. It was Jody. It was the cop. Well, Jody was a cop. It was the other cop lady. But the boys get trapped in the alternate dimension because they did that shit eventually. But the girls were all like, we need to go get our boys back. And that was such a wholesome episode because these boys had done so much for these women. They'd protected them. They brought them kind of into this world. They taught them what they knew. And they were, I mean, Jody was like a surrogate mother figure to the boys for a while. The girls were like surrogate younger sisters and so on. And it was like a family. And I'm like, man, if they... But that episode just never got the recognition. But that like snuck in like a backdoor pilot there, and I was like, I would watch this show with these actresses. But it just and maybe it would have turned out like absolute garbage. Probably would have. But I think that had merit. But again, you know what? It's one of those. The story was told. But yeah. But the actors had to come out finally and be like, no, we're done. We're not doing a season 16. Fucking stop. We've been doing this for 15 years. One of the jokes was, guys, when we started Supernatural, we used to day drink and now we nap. Like, but no, it's just, so I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off there. You were kind of, talking about like the word of mouth is very important. And so
it's crucial.
You do have to capture people off the bat for sure. But
no doubt. Yeah.
But where is that merit for you? Like, because for everybody it's going to be different. Some people are going to say it's got to be just as great as the greats, and other people like me are like, no, dude, I've for instance, actually it's right here, Relentlessly Bullied Hero. This is since I've been into this world for the last few years, this is by far my favorite story that I have read. I absolutely love this. The characters are phenomenal. The jokes land for me. This is so freaking good. And for me, I've seen this story before. I've seen it in My Hero Academia. I've seen it similarly in Black Clover. I've seen it similarly in a lot of other places. It just so happens to be, it's this author, it's just in his voice. And that is about the only difference. But there's nothing in this book that is brand new or unique to me. It does the thing that I've seen 1,000 times, but damn it, if it doesn't do it fucking phenomenally well. And that's why I love it. And that's my metric for this book. Guys, you've seen this before, but you know what? Because of that, it's good. Right? Like, there are things that as soon as they do it, you're like, I laughed like gutturally at the last pages of the actual story because I was like, I've seen that trope before. How did I know it wasn't coming? And it's great for that reason. And I feel like there are some people who, if some authors will try to reinvent the wheel, and some authors will not be able to tell that story in their voice very well. And, you know, but they do still have merit there. And it's just going to take them a little bit longer. Maybe maybe they made their debut a little earlier than before. But I get, you even said, you know, Demon Hunter Raven, you even said that was kind of a splash. You know, that was kind of your debut. That's how I found out about you.
Mm-hmm.
And even you said, yeah, that one didn't really, you know, it was kind of like a sneeze, you know. And people are like, oh, hey, what was then that? But all of a sudden you do Winnie the Pooh Demon Hunter, and people are like, oh, wait, did he just call Winnie the Pooh a dude? It's like that. It's like, what was it, Abraham Lincoln Zombie Killer or Zombie Hunter?
Yeah,
Vampire.
Vampire Hunter.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah. I've never seen that movie for many reasons, but
it's
pretty wild.
Just pretend it's not Abe Lincoln, and then it's like it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Alternate reality.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
But what do you judge when you're? Because I don't know if you're checking out other indies. I mean, obviously you're sinking money into your own books. You're sinking your time into your own books.
Yeah, but... so I do check out a wide plethora of stuff. And for me, sometimes I'll read anything, but my likes, and it depends on the mood. I'm sure like everyone, we all have different moods where like I'm just not feeling it tonight, or you're in a grumpy mood, or I'm looking for something joyful. So sometimes I need to go back and reread it on a more open mind basis. So, and then sometimes the worst thing someone can do though is be like, this is just like Transformers meets the Terminator. Well, now you've set me up for an expectation, and if it doesn't meet those qualifications based upon my thought process of that, I'm going to be mad at your book for not meeting those expectations. But if I can come in with an open mind and go, oh, this is how you presented this story to me, and now I have it based upon that idea. So and there's a lot of people that will tell you don't show your book based upon those qualities, because like if I were to tell you right now, Demon Hunter Raven is Bleach meets Peter Pan, it's going to set you up for, and it's not. It's not. But, yeah.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I remember checking that project out. That is absolutely not what that yeah, I'm telling the author of the book he's wrong about his own book.
It's not. But and just to make you back off of the creator of the book you were just showing there, he's in the chat even.
Oh,
yeah,
he's awesome.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. And just the way that he even put out the book, he didn't go, oh, it's Transformers meets Sesame Street. It's not that. It's you're not setting yourself up for.
He never said
I want
that.
all of these
he
books
legitimately never said any of that. When I was like, hey, your main character reminds me of a mix between Deku from My Hero Academia and Asta from Black Clover. Like he just kind of has that vibe to me. And funny enough, he was very inspired by My Hero Academia and some other things, but I never saw that I don't think he ever advertised it that way. He was just like, hey, here's the book. I mean, the thing that legitimately, like, it was kind of a joke on the channel, because I tell everybody, like, my wife is a big titty goth girl. Like she dressed a lot more goth when I met her. So, big titty goth girl, and the joke just kind of trends. And the joke was, oh, there's a big titty goth girl in this book. Well, it must be for me, right? Turns out, yeah, it is, but not just because of the big titty goth girl. Like, so it was like, I am not screwing with you. I bought this kind of on the premise of the jokes that we were making on the channel. And when I got the book, like, I was really excited because it sounded interesting. But I do this with every book that I get in my hands. I'm like, please don't suck.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Please don't suck. And I have read some things, and I'm like, wow, that was not. And this one did not suck. Like it was the opposite of suck.
Well, I got to do some art for that book too. I don't know what he's going to use it in what capacity, but
cool.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, I don't know. He could tell you guys, and whether he'll use it or not is up to him. But he reached out to me to have do something, and that was cool because I hadn't heard of the book yet. Even though you see it coming through all these channels, and like, oh, what is this? This looks awesome. And yeah, the girl did pop out right. I was like, why am I not drawing that? But no.
Hey.
No, I'm kidding here, but yeah.
Wait, I gotta draw this one. I can't draw that one. No, I already got somebody drawing that one.
Oh, this sucks. Well,
Well,
whatever. No, I'm just kidding.
Fine, but I'm done. I don't want to. I just like now. Okay, now I need to see your take on the big titty goth girl from Relentlessly Bullied Hero.
But it's fun seeing other creators promote their book and then find their audience. And then it's sad when you look at people that are having a hard time because you can see the formula they're using doesn't bring results. And I'm not gonna say I do it perfectly. Like I'll sit there, somebody will be like, "Well, I put the bait out there and it sucked. Well, I got to rework it." And I'm sure, like you were talking about music just a little while ago. I'm sure that's even a whole entire different beast to sit and try to put out there and talk to people about getting to listen to you and be like, I'm sure you can look at people in the face and be like, "Nah, I'm good. Like, no, seriously.
Harder about it is it takes like no time at all to just click on a song or two. It's like it's not. There's like no little investment in it. It's like just try and like no. And like it'll take 10 seconds to click a few times. Like no, I don't even like music anymore. Go away. It's just a tough market. I think regardless of what your craft is, and I think that some people out there have a great product, do everything right, and it doesn't. Like things don't align and there's no rhyme or reason to it. And then for other people, it's the opposite. It's tough. And I don't think there's a one size fits all solution. And that's just part of the reality of it. And keep grinding.
Tim Allen might be onto something here. He says the next volume of Pooh Demon Hunter may have a big titty goth girl now. Is there anybody in Disney that is now public domain that can be slightly tweaked into a big titty goth girl?
Well,
I can't tell if this concept is disturbing or fascinating.
I've had 3 people message me going, "Hey, Betty Boop's public domain by next year." And I was like, "Yeah, what about her?" They're like, "Well, there's an idea," and they gave me a whole. I'm like, I can't use that now. You just sent me an outline. Stop sending me outlines.
Big
people.
titty goth girl, Betty Boop. Betty Boop in her dark phase.
Yeah. I'm putting it out there so someone will be able to use it, but I don't know if I'm fast. I'm in the middle of a giant war arc. I don't even have time to get to that.
Well, you need morale. There could be like a hint at it. Like there's the soldiers got like the pinup poster on the wall. Like,
yes, there's an idea behind it, but it's also about seeing whether it fits in or not.
Right.
Sure. But there's an idea there.
Anytime that I can shill for a big titty goth girl in a book, I think it makes the book infinitely better.
It brings more eyes.
I wonder how that happens. That's weird.
It's weird. I mean, the Red Riding Hood, it provides that unique existence to the world, and it's an army in my book. It's not just one person. It's
look at the
army
cloak on that girl.
It's a great cloak.
This is
good thread count.
This is great.
Natural dyes.
She's got a huge basket full of goodies.
That's the hard part. It's really easy to take these public domain or fairy tale characters and twist them into those places. Those are about a dime a dozen. I'm not pointing fingers and saying that they're not done well or that people can't do that or that that's wrong to do. Mm-hmm. I think my unique particular area is I don't excel in that area, and I don't tend to bring eyes in those particular ways.
Right.
And there's people that can do that circles around me. Like I'll get left in the dust, no problem. I think finding your particular avenue that works for you is the hardest part, because you have to do a lot of trial and error.
Oh yeah.
A lot of and it might work once and you'll find out it was just a one-hit wonder.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, that didn't stick.
That's I mean, that's everybody, dude. That's even like doing like YouTube. Well, you even do YouTube too. Like,
mm-hmm.
You might have a video that does really well, and then you try to kind of repeat that video and stuff like that. It's like I'm realizing after 2 years of doing it, 2.5 years of like people actually kind of knowing who I am, is like that first video that I did, that I was kind of really calm and measured, and I was kind of talking about like Eric July and the Rippaverse when that whole thing was taken off, and people were like, yeah, I really like his points here. Yeah. Apparently, the calm, measured Royce people are like, get the fuck out of here. We want loud, drunk, screaming at the camera, also making decent points as well. But like that's kind, and so I'm kind of realizing that, and I'm just like, all right, well, I'm just gonna channel, that part of myself and pick the things that I can pick, the things that bring that character out, because that is a real person. That is how I mean, you can ask these guys. They went to the barbecue, and apparently I am in person the way that I am online.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, actually.
So you're genuine.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah, no, he comes across like a cartoon character, but in real life, he also is that.
He's also he's actually a cartoon character. Fuck you.
Now, but to your points, I think there's something about like if people like the Winnie the Pooh comic, maybe that's their entry point. They like it enough that maybe they go and check out your Raven series as well. And I think the same thing could happen probably with video content. Maybe you have that big hit that gets a lot of attention from a lot of different people, and then you can siphon off from that group the crowd that likes your serious stuff as well. So it's just about finding that
oh yeah, for sure,
balance and all that. But yeah, it's tough. Like I said, I don't think there's a perfect. I think you made a great point in that what works for somebody isn't going to work for everybody. You just got to try things and cater to your audience, and it's tough. It is tough.
Yeah, because I mean, I think the hardest part is a lot of people get deterred or disappointed or distressed. Because you could spend 10 years doing this and not make any waves, and then you could always and being mediocre is the worst part too, because you're just on the precipice of doing something good, or you have something that's good, but that ability to find the critical areas that need to be fixed, that's just a skill that you have to learn. I mean, there's so very few people that actually have that innate ability to just do that on a whim of like, oh hey, I'm Alan Moore, here's the Watchman. You're like, oh yeah, screw you. No, but jokes aside here, it's
right.
It takes time to kind of hone in those abilities and what you're good at, and or even just get to the point where you are good enough to present something. Because even just putting on a comic, anyone can pick up a pencil or tell a story, but to do something that people are willing to buy, be part of, go on the journey and be part of that, or just even watching YouTube videos, your people are giving up their time. They're determining the first 30 seconds whether they want to stay there, they want to partake in that video.
Oh, yeah.
It's no small measure, and there's millions of people trying to do this.
Yeah.
And then all you'll hear about is, did you watch Mr. Beast's newest video? No. No. Okay, I did, but not.
Yeah, but like shamefully, like not like gleefully, like you just described, like in shame, hiding in the doghouse in the backyard with the volume turned low so nobody heard.
Today on this challenge.
It's like, dude, I tell people all the time, like the two of the channels that I freaking loved, or two things I loved on YouTube, were like watching like Matt Bat with game theory and film theory, and Death Battle. And, and people were like, oh, you watch that trash? I'm like, these channels are worth a lot of money. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, but it's trash. Like those are like, and it's just everybody's got that. Like, I mean, I loved this stuff. I think it's freaking great, and it's just really interesting.
Well, and the crazy thing right now too is every social media site, every site is heading towards a niche interest-based sort of algorithms. They're no longer, here's this person you should follow. It's now, do you like anime? Well, here's your anime algorithm for you. Do you like Dungeons and Dragons? Here is this sort of thing.
And that was one of the things. Sorry, Tim Allen. No, not Celebrity Death Match, like Death Battle. Go watch Death Battle on YouTube, Tim Allen. But
I loved him as Buzz Lightyear, by the way.
Yeah, right. Not that Tim Allen. But sorry. Well, and and what a lot of that is doing is like, it's not these companies trying to be malicious or anything. They are genuinely trying to keep eyes on the platforms.
Yep.
And so everybody's like, oh, like, because you'll hear content creators sometimes say this, like, well, we're being siloed into our corner of the internet. And it's like, well, fucking yeah. And like,
you are, yeah.
because like that's why people watch you, right? And like, we want people to stay here on the platform because we want them to watch what they want. Now, YouTube keeps asking me, it's like, well, what do you like? Like, what do you want us to feed you more of? And I'm like, there's no way I can answer that because I'm one of those retards that all of the things. Like, like tomorrow, guaranteed tomorrow, I am going to listen to the next unsubscribed podcast that comes on because that's what I do. I am going to listen to the video game news updates that are coming out. I'm probably going to watch bowling videos. There's a damn good chance I watch some barbecue video channels. There's a few history channels that I also love to watch. Probably going to be watching some anime-related content on YouTube, like going over like character lore and stuff like that. Most likely going to be checking out, I don't know, some other random obscure thing that I don't even know about. Well, it depends on, I'm kind of behind on Isaac Arthur, and he does like science and futurism. I'm one of those guys that YouTube hates. Because
they're like, I don't know, what does this guy want? I don't know.
It's anime, like all you want to watch is anime? No. What about barbecue? And they're like, but anime doesn't barbecue. Like, we don't like.
One day AI will be good enough. It'll just be like anime characters. They'll be like smoking them or something.
Yeah, it's just, but
disturbing, but you can't stop watching.
Oh fuck, that would be weird. But yeah, it's just it's. But yeah, you do get siloed into your corner of the internet, and for good reason, because ad revenue is a thing to these companies. Because everybody gets well, screw these ads. I'm like, do you guys remember commercials? Does anybody remember a time when you couldn't skip the ad because it was a fucking commercial?
Dark
and
times.
That's what paid for the thing that you were watching.
Mm-hmm.
And now everybody gets mad and they're like, screw these ads. Why does the company want $12 from me? It's like, well, I don't know. If you'd watch the fucking ad, maybe they wouldn't be so against you, you know, or maybe they wouldn't be trying to charge you money because I don't understand how people think some of the times. It's like,
you just answered your own question, didn't you?
No, I didn't, because
don't.
I was trying to enter the mindset of. I just had this conversation today. I had to catch a guy up on some yearly training because I'm a safety manager at my work, and he's like, Royce, we just did all of this last year. I'm like, I know, but we have to do it again. And he's like. He's like, I get for the new guys that don't know this stuff. He's like, but Royce, why? Why do I have to go? I already know all of this stuff. And I'm like, hold on. I need to explain something to you really quickly, okay? He's like, you would have to be retarded to do this stuff. I'm like, I get it, right? But as the safety manager, okay, I am paid to be the top retard, okay? If I can think it, they can do it. Which means I have to prepare a safety plan around the most retarded people. And he just looks at me and I'm like, legitimately, dude, that is my job. Because here's the thing. You know how you go, oh my God, why would you do it? I can give you 3 examples this year, probably in our company, of somebody doing that. And he's like, I don't know how you do your job. He's like, we literally got done with it. He goes, I don't know how the hell, because I do an entire safety week where I block off and I have different groups of people every day, and I do the same shit every single day for a week, and I am giving a class of OSHA content for a week at a time. By the end of it, my voice is blown out, and they're like, we don't know how you do it. And I'm like, guys, you need to understand, I am paid to be the top idiot because I have to think about the stupidest thing that somebody could possibly do to hurt themselves. And then I need to be able to come up with a safety plan around that so that way they don't hurt themselves. And then I need to communicate to you guys that there are, in fact, people on this planet that are actually that stupid. And then we need to make sure that we protect them from being stupid.
I would watch Royce safety videos if he started making them.
And that right there is people go, why the fuck are we being shown ads? Because they need to pay for it. Like, all of that is like, dude, I can't even figure out why people are so pissed off at ads. I mean, I understand the non-skippable, like 45-minute long ads. Those are stupid. But I don't understand this war on like, well, why can't I just watch the video? Like, well, you can pay for it or you can watch an ad. And then people get really mad about the ad, and then they get appalled that they're being asked for money. And I'm like, you can't have it both ways. And I am paid to figure out the stupid, and I can't figure out that stupid.
There's like a missing connection somewhere in there as to people's understanding how things get paid for.
I'm picturing the dial-up modem sound just happening in their head.
What is that?
Yeah, just like staring, like
just like I don't what?
yeah.
I don't understand. Maybe that's what I should do. Is I should just do a series of shorts of being just a frustrated safety guy.
Well, they have those, and they're pretty successful. Where the guy's just like looking around, like, what are they doing? And then something crazy's happening, and they're super entertaining. And he's not actually the person on the job site. He just looks. You know what I'm talking about? You see?
Yeah. There's a TikTok. I like the one where that guy's
so
waiting. It's just people dancing in random scenes, and he's just standing there each time, like, can I just go?
Yeah. Royce, you could be that guy. You could take over that shtick.
Yeah,
dude. The things that I have said to my guys in the safety meetings, they just look at me. They're like, "Wait, what the fuck?" It's part of the reason that the guys are kind of on my side as the safety manager, because I have said some things about safety, and they're just like, "Oh my god, I can't." I've had people look at me like, "You can't say that." And I'm like, "Why not?" They're like, "You're not supposed to say that." I'm like, No. I'm safety, not HR. I don't give a fuck. They're like, "Wait a minute."
it's like those warning labels on certain things. You're like, wait, this is here because someone actually did that.
Yeah.
Dude, and like I said, I'm like, now just think about this, guys. Just think about the first guy that grabbed onto a serpentine belt that was moving inside of a vehicle. Because they put the warnings on that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, with all the pulleys and stuff, they're like, be careful. Make sure engine is off before removal. And it's like, yeah. Yes. Yeah. My and I love things like that. Caution, hot. No shit.
Did you hear that? So you guys remember the original story about the McDonald's hot coffee?
Yes. I actually just talked about that today because it came up. Because I'm a fucking safety guy.
I don't know if it's real or apocryphal, though. Like, I never got the true story.
It is actually McDonald's fault.
It is McDonald's fault.
100%.
How hot was the coffee? Was it like
240 degrees?
No way, really?
Dude, like not even.
Wow, that's impressive.
And it wasn't, if I'm not mistaken, Raven, it wasn't the whole, it was just that location. It wasn't.
I don't remember, but wasn't the reason because they wanted to keep the coffee hot because they would travel with it?
Well, it was, people were complaining that the coffee was too cold.
Oh, yeah.
And so McDonald's was like, all right, we'll make the coffee fucking hot. So yeah, like legitimately they were serving coffee beyond the boiling point, and what they gave it, and this was an elderly lady. She was in like her 60s or 70s.
Yeah, she wasn't young.
So she grabs the coffee, and I can't remember if she tried taking a sip or like some spilled out on her and it like burned her hands.
Yeah.
So she accidentally, just out of just recoil, drops it, and this like 200 plus, like beyond boiling point coffee splashes, opens up the whole thing, because it's just those little shitty containers that they have, opens up, gives her 3rd-degree burns all over the inside of her thighs and other bits. That is very uncomfortable. And
knees.
Oh, dude, she had to go to the emergency room. They had to remove the dead skin. I don't remember if they had to do skin grafts if it was that bad, but again.
Severe.
Yeah. So when people were like, "Oh, her, I should just spill some hot coffee on me," because the company itself was actually negligent.
Yeah.
Like, and it caused somebody to have massive medical bills and recovery for over a year. Like the burns didn't go away that quickly because dude. If you actually know the backstory behind that, like, and now nobody takes their coffee above like 100 and I think it's like 178 degrees now.
Well, and the reason why we know that the actual other story is because McDonald's PR team started putting out false hits against her to claim that she was a moron. She didn't know how to handle coffee and everything. It was all fake.
And it wasn't just medical bills, but they also hit McDonald's for defamation as well.
Yeah.
And that's what really got them in trouble. Yeah.
And that's not even going into the monopoly scheme that they had going on for a while.
Oh yeah. Oh dude.
You remember that?
Yeah, that was wild. Well, yeah. Oh dude, you go check out the channel Magnates Media.
Okay.
He does an awesome video on McDonald's. Actually, a bunch of businesses. That's what he covered. He covers magnates, who are business moguls that become very big. Dude, his McDonald's one, his whole McDonald's video, the whole history of that company is fucking awesome. Not the founder of McDonald's, but the guy who basically took it from the founders. I fucking love him. The founders deserved what they got, in my personal opinion. I don't care if that sounds heartless. Those guys, if they would have just picked up the phone, they'd be billionaires now. And because they didn't pick up the phone and they kept trying to screw Roy out of just a fair deal out of the all of the work he was doing to build their brand, they would be billionaires right now, and they kept not doing it, and they kept screwing him over legally. So he finally makes enough money to buy the name from him, and then after he gets the name, he tells them they worked it out, they could no longer use the original name. Ray Kroc, Ray Kroc was his name. And then in order to put them out of business, because he was so pissed off at this point at these guys, opens up a McDonald's down the block from them and puts the original owners out of business. And all they had to do was pick up the phone and work with him. And dude, to the point, they never answered the phone. And it was in the contract that if he made any changes to the system, he had to get written approval from the brothers. And he was seeing things that were working and was trying to call and be like, hey guys, these are working. Can we do it? And after like 5 or 6 years, he basically built McDonald's from the ground up, made zero money off of it. It was becoming a nationwide phenomenon at the point in time, and the brothers would not fucking pick up the phone to answer any of his questions because the lawyer said not to. Those guys deserved what they fucking got. I'm sorry. They did.
And then going back to your original comment about people being stupid about ads and stuff, like, how do you explain those just ineptness and just those points of like, you had it. You have something that's working, and you went and did the stupidest thing you can imagine.
I don't know. I mean, dude, and you know what the sad part is, and this is something that I realized a long time ago, and I hate it, but it adds up here to YouTube. It adds up here to every other part of my life. Is like, to someone else on the road, I'm the jackass who doesn't know how to drive, right? And when I had that thought that day, it really fucking humbled me. I was like, oh, to somebody else out in the world, I am the idiot that doesn't get it.
Yeah, but what if you're the idiot every day?
I probably am, dude. But again, it's that humbling thought. It's like, man, to somebody else in the world, I am the guy that doesn't get it. I am the bad driver on the road. I am the person standing at the gas station counter having a conversation that's too long, and the guy behind me just wants to buy his fucking morning fucking honey bun and his coffee so he can get to fucking work, and I'm sitting there you know what I mean? Like, I am that. I am never the old woman who needs to pull out her checkbook along with the 47 coupons she has in her purse. Fuck that lady. She deserves the fiery pits of hell. But in many other instances, I am someone else's jackass that is just making their day harder. And the second that I had that
sounds like
thought,
a country album.
Right, yeah. Like, and the second that I had that,
else's jackass.
All right, I was like, yeah, all right.
Banjo in there, yeah, full circle.
I need to be.
Here.
I was like, I need to be a little bit more humble, and work on a lot of my anger stuff back then. But yeah, it's true. It's to someone else. You are someone else's jackass. That's how it be.
There's the chorus.
Somebody else's.
I used to write.
That's
country
how
music.
it be.
I used to write country music. Like, I can do it. Actually, I'll tell you, Justin, a song after we get off here, because it's actually really fun. I never really could figure it out back in the day, but I don't know, maybe team up with somebody and write a song again. But anyway, hey Raven.
Hey,
What's up?
What do you do, and where can we find you, good sir?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter you can find me anywhere as the Ravens Loft, and YouTube, Twitter. I think I'm the Ravens Loft. Anywhere important that you're at, just type in the Ravens Loft. Hopefully, no one's copying my name. I've had a few copy my name.
Super awesome Linktree link that's down in the chat right now.
Yeah, that.
That. He's just like that, dude. That one.
That one. That one. 'Cause I've had people copy my name now that have removed the and they're just Ravens Loft. I'm like, well, that's okay. That was unexpected.
Wow, you literally copied my homework but changed it just a little. That's
yeah. So I'm trying to add Nicholas to the parts of it, so I'll be like, it's still me. It's still me.
Copyright my name, bitch.
It happens.
My parents copyrighted that when I was born.
Yeah. Trademarked.
I have actually heard that trademarking your name is a thing, and that it's there are Anyway, but,
I mean, if it makes you money and you're some sort of noteworthy person.
Yeah. Anytime somebody says your name, you get like a nickel in the mail.
Yeah. I mean, Disney made a whole brand off of his name.
This is true.
That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah, that's a
really good point. Look at that.
And then was it like the Logan Pauls and those guys? I'm sure there's some recognition just to their names alone.
Believe it or not, Taylor Swift. Go look into the legal stuff that she did with her name specifically. It's nuts.
Someone at her stature and particular noteworthy fame, I guess you'd say, probably has to have a lot of legal stuff behind everything she's doing now.
Yeah.
I was hoping she'd have a weird middle name, but it's just normal.
How about
what
you?
What is
Justin?
it?
Allison.
Oh.
Yeah, see? Not very fun.
That is the most country fucking name ever. And
Taylor Allison?
Yeah, it is.
Taylor Allison.
So then, like Taylor Brittany or
she
Taylor
Tammy?
Tammy?
Taylor Justin,
Amber.
what do you do? Where can we find you?
So I'm Justin. You can find me here. I also make music under the band name Evely. You can find my music on all streaming platforms and as well as Bandcamp. I got 4 instrumental chiptune rock albums, as well as one that's like it's like a mix of all kinds of different metals and stuff. I scream a little, I sing a little. There's some harmonies, there's some heavy stuff. It's I enjoy it. Hopefully you do too. Me and Chilkid have a new dual single album thingy out called Anti-Hero. So he's got one track on it, and I do the second track, which is taking his track, and then I cut it all apart, and then I put it back together, and then I added some music on top of it. It was a lot of fun. I think it turned out really, really good, and I think it's worth your time to go and give it a spin and see if it's up your alley. I've done music for a bunch of other people as well, including Daniel, DPR, with his G Sedai series, which has got a I can't remember what campaign's going on, but you should pick up a copy of that as well. And
G-Sedai
Tuesday nights,
number 2.
Yeah, the comic number 2. Pick it up. And I also do the Iron Seas Tuesday nights with Bad
I'm
Sauce.
having an issue to deal with.
You're good.
What?
Yeah, you're good. I got Tuesday nights. I'm on the Iron Seas with Butt Sauce, the Ultimate Kahuna, AC Pritchard, and we watch films. We discuss storytelling, writing, fighting. We have guests on. They promote stuff and hang out. It's a good time. And that I can. Am I handing it off to Mr. Dana?
They did a clip talking about muscle mommies. That was the some weird
Or
shit to pop up on
It
my
was
timeline.
weird. I don't like the term, but that's why from now on they're going to be known as battle babes.
I'm not a
That's a good name.
either of that.
Yeah,
That's
palatable.
my wife is on her weight loss journey, which is wonderful for her. And I was like, baby, I'm proud. Like, yeah, go for it. I was like, I swear to fuck, if you become like this muscle mommy shit, I'm like, I can't. I just, please don't. And she looked at me like that was a preposterous thing for me to say. And I'm like, no, because you don't know how it, because people are like, oh, cool. Like I got to like my goal weight. And then some people get like addicted to the workout. And I'm just like, Anyway, hey, everybody, you should also go check out my awesome co-host who is dealing with some things right now, Mr. Daniel P. Riley. His link tree is down below. He is from Whimsyland, literary coaching and services. He can be your editor. He can coach you to help you write your book. He can go through and make sure that the story inside of your mind comes out onto the page. And in addition to that, he also has his own books as well. One of the most notable right now is G Sedai. And that is in novel form. You can find over on Amazon.com or in the comic form as well. G Sedai Book 1, which I believe has a catch-up tier on his G Sedai Book 2 campaign as well, which will be going out next week. And he is also working with so many other people. And if you guys would like to network with any of those people, hit me up about joining my Discord, because my Discord is where everybody basically in this community gets together, networks together. They share memes, they laugh, they have fun, but they also work together and create awesome things like Justin was talking about, him and Chill Kid. They met in it was Gilded at the time, because Gilded was not retarded. They're retarded now, and we don't want to deal with the retarded. And that being said, you've already dealt enough tonight with my retarded, so it's time to say goodnight, everybody!
Hell chat.
No, stop that!
Caro? It's Caro. She's the one. She started it. Blame her.
Caro is not here tonight.
But she started it. Hell chat. She's helping.
She's not even here. She's helping, damn it.
Where's the banjos?
No, this tune has mandolin.
That's good enough.
Evely,
Woman.
I'm gonna have to hire you to make a rock or metal version of this song.
I dabbled a little bit. It's tricky. There's a lot going on with it. There's a lot of layers.
Dude, I just kept it because I did it one time because I had like a couple, 2 or 3 that I tried before, and then I did this one, and everybody was like, "We love this song," and I was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna use this as my song always." And
Is this you?
No,
Justin,
this is not. This is
Oh,
No,
not.
okay.
this isn't me. No.
Okay.
My music's much noisier.
Yeah. 'Cause we know, the mics are on. We are aware. Don't judge me. I might do Sunday coffee this week. I don't know. It depends on things I do tomorrow. We'll see. You got dying cats over there? Yeah. That's not a dying cat. That's a cat that's getting...
It's singing. It's hanging out on the fence. You know, the moon's out. Trash cans below.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning in to Iron Age Nights. And as always, until next time, cheers, everybody.
Night. Bye.
What the fuck was that?
Bye.
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 Bye.